I would not have been allowed to stand in the elections if my conviction had not been overturned. It is literally the law of the land, and I would have committed a further offence and would be in serious trouble because it would be election fraud. So, no, very sorry, conviction was overturned, people.
So as far as I can see, we've never received a notice of appeal to the Crown Court, to appeal to the Court of Appeal. So it would have to be that if it came to the Crown Court, basically. He's been sentenced here, so you'd have to lodge a notice of appeal then to the Court of Appeal for any, anything to be heard there, and it would have to come to us first for us to then provide the Court of Appeal with the papers. And I'm just looking at the file, and there's nothing been received.
Hailing doors on a ship called the Shamrock, gripping the rudder. I'll face the demons up down. In his castle he hides, but I won't back down. I'll bring justice to this land. I wear the Irish crown. With a heart of fire, I defend the honor of Rennie's, warrior of the Emerald Isle. I'm ready for this battle, Viking style. I'll come at you with a force untamed. My words like daggers, they pierce through the shame. Irish demon, on a quest to conquer the night. With the power of rock, I'll set everything right. Sail these rough seas with vengeance I proclaim. Graves will be protected, I'll bring no pain.
To deal with some of the nonsense that came out today. And like I said, I'm only going to deal with part of it. I'll probably deal with some more of it tomorrow when I've had time to watch the lives and go through everything.
Is
But
it tomorrow
one
or
of the key problems is this. I'm sure everyone recognizes this. It's been doing the rounds.
Yep.
Anglesey Council in fall from grace after stealing from a food bank. Daniel Meredith Eifion Jones, not my actual name, misspelled, but okay. From Amlwch, not from Amlwch. Did live there for a while, but not from there. Was among a group of people who set up the Anglesey Food Bank during 2013. Nope, it was the people of Anglesey Food Bank. This article is dated, this becomes important, 4th of October, 2017. Dear God, there's me.
Yeah, I see that.
A councillor who stole, I'm reading the article, a councillor who stole from a food bank has been spared an immediate jail term. Daniel Meredith Eifion Jones from Amlwch had initially denied the charges and was due to stand trial at Carnarvon Crown Court. The lack of court time meant the trial was not going to proceed today, but his barrister, Gareth Roberts, asked for the charges to be put again, and the 39-year-old pleaded guilty of fraud and theft. Jailing him for 13 weeks on each charge, but suspending the sentence for 12 months, Judge Hugh Rees said Jones, who is a member of Amlwch Town Council and a former Welsh Assembly candidate, had lost his good name. That is punishment in itself, and is a substantial fall from grace for you. You have the good sense to plead guilty, even though you should have done earlier. It is your previous good character which has saved you from an immediate custodial sentence. Jones must also carry out 150 hours of unpaid work during the next year. Prosecutor Ellen Owen said Jones was among a group of people who set up the Anglesey Food Bank in Amlwch during 2013. Jones became manager of the food bank, which relied entirely on volunteers, as was I. In early 2015, Jones announced a $300,000 grant had been secured from the Big Lottery Fund, which would allow the organisation to secure permanent premises. Two officials, Roy Jones and Bronwyn Westlake, made advance payments on the proviso that they would be paid back when the grant was paid. A bank statement showed substantial amount had been paid into the group's bank account, but inquiries by Miss Westlake found the Big Lottery Fund had never received application for funding and no deposit had been made at the bank. Well, big problem here. I wasn't the treasurer, nor was I a signatory on the account. Sorry, I literally couldn't do anything with the bank. But, okay. Ms. Owen said Jones had received 335 officials to buy a carpet, but inquiries revealed it cost some £175 less. Yes, they forgot about fitting. Cash given by the officials to pay for a meter and insurance had not been used for those purposes. The monies paid by them, a total of 614, related to the theft charges. Arrested and interviewed by officers in February last year, Jones denied the offences and claimed he himself had been the victim of a scam. Gareth Roberts, defending, said Jones was not the type of man who would ordinarily appear before the courts. This name and brought him great shame and embarrassment. I asked the court to accept his as genuine, and this will be the one and only time he'll appear before a court. Jones stood as an independent candidate in last year's Assembly elections in the Anglesey constituency. He was also shortlisted by the Labour Party as a candidate in the 2013 by-election, sparked by the resignation of Eifion Jones, which was won by Plaid Cymru's Rhena Purweth. The court heard he became a member of Amlwch Town Council last November and regularly attends meetings. Okay. Everyone seen that one? Anglesey County Council election results for Bro Aberfraw, Isle of Anglesey County Council elections, May 2022, Thursday, 5th of May, 2022. Right down here in last place, there's me. Okay? 5th of May. This is the local elections in Wales, guidance for candidates and agents, part 1 of 6. Can you stand for an election? Dated June 2022. Contents, blah, 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 blah. Section 4, disqualifications. Section D. If you have had a criminal conviction during the period of 5 years ending the day of the poll or since being elected, you have been convicted in the UK of an offence and you have been sentenced to a term of imprisonment of 3 months or more, including a suspended sentence without the option of fine, and the ordinary period allowed for making an appeal or application in respect of the conviction has passed, I would be disqualified. Now, want to do the maths? Is the 5th of May 2022 after 5 years' time from the 4th of October 2017?
It's not.
It's not. It's 5 years short. I would not have been allowed to stand in the elections if my conviction had not been overturned. It is literally the law of the land, and I would have committed a further offence and would be in serious trouble because it would be election fraud.
5 months. You said 5 years. 5 months.
5 years. It's 5 months short of being 5 years.
Yeah.
I would have literally broken the law, and the returning officer would have banned me and reported me to the police, like they are legally obliged to. So, no, very sorry, conviction was overturned, people. Sorry.
A number of years ago, it was for fraud and theft from a food bank. He was a local...
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to double check that I did have the right case.
Yeah.
So as far as I can see, we've never received a notice of appeal to the Crown Court, to appeal to the Court of Appeal. So it would have to be that if it came to the Crown Court, basically. He's been sentenced here, so you'd have to lodge a notice of appeal then to the Court of Appeal for any, anything to be heard there, and it would have to come to us first for us to then provide the Court of Appeal with the papers. And I'm just looking at the file, and there's nothing been received.
Right.
Just doing a double check on one more system to see that nothing's on there.
And so, what was the name of the court? I've been doing a lot of calls today. I've been just working on this case. It's been pretty.
Just double check. Yeah, no, that's right. So I can confirm nothing was received. No appeal's been lodged.
So he never actually appealed it or won an appeal or anything.
No, never even lodged an appeal.
Right.
And he was sentenced on the 4th of October 2017.
That sounds right.
And that was at Carnarvon Crown Court.
So the only thing, so if you looked up Daniel, so it was Daniel Meredith at Eifion Jones.
Yeah.
And the only thing that came up is that he was convicted but never appealed.
That's right.
Okay, all right. That's
And
basically.
that is just for Malden and Carnarvon Crown Court. That's just anything that has been, convicted and sentenced for him in Malden, Carnarvon.
So be specifically that particular sentence or conviction.
So definitely nothing on that one.
Okay, all righty. That's great. Thank you so much for your help.
No worries at all.
Thank you very much. So you're saying if he had it overturned.
So, yeah, if someone was to lodge an appeal against their conviction or their sentence, which was imposed by a Crown Court, so in this instance it would be Carnarvon Crown Court where his conviction and sentence took place, they have to lodge that appeal with the Court of Appeal in London and with the court here, so the court that they were actually convicted and sentenced at.
Right.
So we would have knowledge as the sentencing court if they had lodged an appeal against their conviction or sentence. So they haven't. We have no appeal, so no appeal's been lodged here against that. So that is why I can confirm that obviously, they've never appealed, because it would have had to have been lodged with us as well.
Gotcha. Although
it would have been heard at the Court of Appeal in London, it still would have had to have been lodged with us, so we can provide obviously the relevant paperwork from the actual case to London.
Because if you did have an appeal, and I'm just assuming it's the same as Australia because it's Crown Court there as well, you will get a document to say that that your appeal had been successful and that the conviction no longer stands, something to that effect.
So if he went to the Court of Appeal and his appeal was heard there, then they would certainly send us the results of that appeal, because obviously it gets updated with us, and he would have his whatever they send to him. But we would be notified. This court, as the sentencing court, would be notified if he appeals against that conviction or sentence.
Gotcha. It makes sense that you guys will get some notification anyway. No, that's absolutely great. Thank you so much for that. I have the and is there somewhere that I can get like a document to show that to show the conviction and all of that stuff, or? So
you can ask for what's called a certificate of conviction. So that's just a court document that basically confirms the charges and the sentence, the conviction and the sentence. It's quite simple in those terms. It'll have the defendant's name, what the charges were, the date he was convicted, the date he was sentenced, and what the sentence was. Right. Because that information is in the public domain. So, that it does give that. So you'd have to send the request in writing just for us to then be able to reply to you with it.
No problem. I'll do that today just to have all my ducks in a row.
You can do.
As you may have noticed, there is only me here. That's because I wanted to do this alone. As it should be. I am going to read out a statement, and then that's it. This show is not going to cover anything else, just that. Good evening, all. I would like to read the following statement on advice of legal counsel and NWP. I will not be taking any questions. The recent allegations against myself by another YouTuber are in fact not true. Some of the sources of these allegations are a former partner of mine, who the YouTuber identified as CD. CD has a long criminal history, including a police caution for domestic violence against myself, and was ruled an unreliable witness in a case against me. Her and her family have threatened, attacked, and harassed me in the past, as well as being violent towards my son. The counsellor he speaks of appears to be a counsellor who was punished for bullying, harassing an elderly member of council staff, along with the violations of GDPR. On the advice of legal counsel and NWP, I will no longer be publicly addressing the claims of this YouTuber, nor will I have any contact with this individual or those associated with him after the doxing of my son's full name yesterday night / early hours of this morning. I'm sorry if this action upsets some of you, but I must do what is right and best for myself and my family. If you feel you no longer want to be a part of this channel or this community, I completely understand, and I respect your choice and wish you all the best. Yours,